Hello and welcome to yet another live session. Hope all of you are doing good. So this is yet another live session on Friday evening. Hope all of you are ready for this session. If you are ready for this session, just type ready in the comment box, and this is going to be a super awesome special session where we are going to learn about emerging sector, which is electric vehicle. Okay, so if you are excited on this session, then just type excited in the comment box. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes, Amit Gupta, and thank you so much for joining me live. So this is going to be very, very interesting session, and this is like a new trend which is emerging. So what we'll do is we'll start with the basic overview, why we need to learn this particular sector and why it is important in terms of our investing perspective. Okay, so let's jump into this and let me share the screen. Okay, so these are the three parts why we need to learn. So this is a emerging sector which is coming out. Okay, so there is a big reset that is happening in this entire sector from the traditional IC engine to the new age electrical vehicles. So that is where there is opportunity, and I'll tell you more about it, why this shift is important and what is the process you should follow. And this is going to be slightly deep dive because I don't want to just superficially touch this subject. It's going to be super deep dive into the sector and what kind of opportunities in which kind of subsector it is available. Okay, so hopefully all of you are ready with the notes. And there is one more thing, so make sure that you are taking notes, because I'll be telling you to post your notes below this video once we are over, and I'll announce where you need to send and how you need to send. Okay, so that you can claim a gift. So make sure you are taking notes digitally so that you can post it as soon as I tell you. And there are new winners emerging. So because this reset is happening, there are new winners in this sector which are emerging, which were not there earlier. So earlier, when the internal combustion engine was there, the diesel and petrol engine players were there. Some players were dominant, and because they had a good hold on that entire value chain, they were able to command the market share. But now that old players are shifting and the new players are also emerging. So if we are able to pay close attention to all these winners, then there could be potential multi-bagger which you can find it. Okay, now this is the process what I do for studying competitive advantage or the landscape for any sector. Okay, and this you can take a screenshot, or there is also a small video which I've done on my channel also. But this is like the holy grail. If you want to analyze any sector, these are the 3 points which you should focus. So first point which you should focus is profitability for long term, whether that entire sector is profitable for a longer mega trend or not. There are so many sectors like sugar, and there are metals and all those which are highly cyclical. So you enter that, you make money for 1-2 years, and then again it starts going down. So if you want to do long-term compounding, you should focus on the profitability for long term. And these are the 3 parameters you should look for. Whether there is a long-term mega trend in terms of growth, whether there is profits which they can churn for long period of time, and whether they can reinvest the cash flow into the own businesses. Like if you see paint sector, like Asian Paints and a lot of other Nerolac and a lot of other paints company, it is a structural growth story in India, right? Those sectors were growing, the profits were growing, and they are still reinvesting the capital and still putting money for the future growth. So that is a classic example of long-term profitable sector. Okay, so that is the first part. The second is identifying the profit pools within the industry. So it might be the case that the entire sector is not profitable. The sector might have a good growth possibility, but not all players are profitable. Like say for example, telecom in India is a long-term growth story, but not all players in the telecom sector were profitable. A lot of them went bankrupt. But there will be some players in the overall industry structure, or within that sector, there might be some subsectors which are highly profitable. Okay, so you have to find what all these pockets are there in the value chain. And when we are discussing EV today, we'll actually touch upon all these pockets where it is more risk-free, where there are niche players, where there is lesser competition. All those things you will get an idea about. Then there is adapt to changes. Okay, so now the as an investor, we get benefited in two ways. One, structurally, if I find a mega trend and ride it good enough, you will get a lot of benefit out of it. Like if you see, I also done video on chemical sector, and it was long time back, and after that a lot of companies have become multi-bagger. So if you spot such sectors and then keep riding it, then of course you will make a lot of wealth just because of that compounding effect. Okay. Otherwise, you can spot some trends which are changing. Okay, so there are some trends which are changing, and there is some disruption that is happening within the sector, like EV. Okay, like even in API, I have also done a full video on API. So like April 2020, when this COVID hit and all the things were hunky-dory, and the API and pharma company were getting benefited and the dynamics were changing, that is where, you get some early signs of changes of trends, and you can make multifold returns. Like from there, a lot of API companies made like 5x, 7x, 8x. So if you are able to spot that trend, you can make multi-bagger returns in those sectors also. So that is where it is very, very important to spot the trend and changes. And if you want to see the example of API, you can go back. It's there on my YouTube channel itself. It's like deep dive, how to spot such companies, what are the pockets, exactly what I'm talking about. And in EV also will do the same. Okay. So that is where you need to take advantage when this reset is happening. There is this shift is happening. And if you are able to do that, you will be benefited in a multifold way. Now this is like the value chain, what I was talking about, and let me take my video slightly here so that you can see the full picture. Okay, so there are this raw material producers, like say steel producers, and then there are manufacturing components players, then you have product manufacturers, and then you have end distributors or service provider, and then finally you have consumer. Now let me give you the auto example itself so that it starts making sense. Now if you see auto value chain, like there are raw material producers for like steel and aluminum and all those kind of, rubber and all those things which goes into making of the car or making of that vehicle. Then there are a lot of companies in this value chain which are manufacturing small parts, like they are manufacturing chassis, they are manufacturing engine, wiring, mirror, fuel system, and so on. And then they supply it to the OEMs, which are, the main assembly players who are assembling all these components, and they also have some of their own parts. So Maruti, Eicher, Hero Honda, all these are product manufacturers. And then they give it to dealers and distributors who ultimately sell it to people like us who are the end consumer. Okay. So this is what is called value chain. So the idea is sometimes there are shifts happening within this value chains, and sometimes the entire value chain is getting disrupted. So right now what we are seeing in EV spaces, almost entire value chain is getting disrupted except the raw material producers and to an extent the dealers and distributors. Even the online channel and all those distributions are coming, but it is not that extensively getting disrupted as it is in the product manufacturers as well as OEMs. Okay, so the idea for today's session is to dissect this entire EV sector and trying to understand what all are these components and how this entire shift is happening and where you can take advantage in terms of your investing ideas. Okay, so if you are clear so far, just type clear in the comment box. Okay, so this is what is the agenda, and this is going to be deep dive. As I said, it's not going to be like a super simple session. We are going to go deep dive much a deeper level. Okay, super. So this is what is the first point. Hope all of you got the idea. And what I'll also do is I'll also show some example of my Excel template, how to go about it and all those things. So if you want to also download, I'll just pin it so that simultaneously you can see some of these, examples also. If you don't have this template, I'll just quickly share it with all of you so that when I'm giving you examples of some financials, so we'll just do some case studies of some financials and what is that you should look for when you should analyze these companies. Okay, so if you don't have this Excel, you can just download from this link. But let's go deeper into the next steps. Okay, so once we have understood the entire landscape, the next idea is to dissect this entire space. Okay, so what all things we will dissect in our journey is as follows. Okay, so we'll go into commercial vehicles. Okay, so all those trucks and all those are commercial vehicles. Within that sector, these are all subsectors. We will touch upon passenger vehicles in terms of two-wheelers, three-wheelers and four-wheelers, who are the manufacturers and how the shift is happening. We'll also touch upon battery and chemical manufacturers. We'll go into the charging infrastructure. We'll go into the auto software companies. We'll go into some thin polyester manufacturers. We'll also go into auto ancillaries, which are suppliers and OEMs, and also we will touch upon EV commodities. Okay, so this is going to be like extensively each and every stocks into this stock value chain you will be able to understand through this particular session. Okay, so if you are super excited, just type super excited in the comment box so that I know you are all charged up for this entire session, and hopefully you are taking all the notes which are required. Okay. So let me get started with the thing which we are going to dissect. Just give me a second. So this is what we are going to dissect, the EV space, and let's get ready. And the three parts which I said, the first part, which is very important, it's a 300 billion plus market size. Okay, so the size is very, very big. The reset is happening. And then, there are a lot of new emerging players which are awesome. So let's come to the stocks in this sector. Okay, so the first part is the commercial vehicles. So if you see this particular slide, you'll be able to understand what all are the players in the commercial vehicle space per se. So the first one is Tata Motors. Okay, so Tata Motors is actually a pioneer, one of the company who has fully developed electric vehicle on its own, and that is why the market price and the share price have drastically gone upwards in recent time. And they are also leader in the electric passenger vehicle segment with 70% plus market share as of now. Okay, and the market size also, which I told, is a global market size, 320 billion plus by 2025 is what a lot of research and estimates are projecting. Second is Ashok Leyland. They have long history of domestic medium and heavy commercial vehicles. And in 2016 itself, they have introduced India's first electric bus and Euro 6 compatible vehicles. Then there is an interesting player which is like an emerging player, which is Olectra Green Tech. Is a pioneer in electric bus manufacturing, and I think they've also supplied orders in pockets of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana and some pockets of Karnataka, if I'm not mistaken. And they have plans to set up India's biggest electric bus factory with 10,000 units capacity, and they've good order book. Okay, so of 1325 e-buses. Then very interesting player, JBM Auto. Okay, so JBM Auto is again a very, very interesting play. And if you see the stock price movement recently also, it's been very, very steep. So that is where the JBM Auto comes into play. They have forayed into electric vehicle portfolio with the aim to provide end-to-end mobility solutions. So they are providing EV charging stations from e-bus depot electrification to enabling the e-public transportation. So they have a lot of big, ideas and the way they are doing it. Then you have Mahindra and Mahindra. And they have done joint venture with Reliance also, and they are also expanding in EV car segment. And then you have a player called SML Isuzu Limited. So this is one of the India's largest manufacturers of small buses and trucks, and they are also working with the Punjab government for this space, EV manufacturing space. Okay, so hopefully it is clear so far in terms of the first part where we are understanding what it is doing and which all are the players in the commercial vehicle space. Now let's move to the passenger vehicle space. Like what are the players into passenger vehicle space? Okay, so here you have players like Bajaj Auto, okay, which is again good pioneer in your two-wheeler vehicle, but they are also coming up with a Chetak electric scooter. Okay, so they have capacity to manufacture like 60,000 plus units per annum, and they are not very much picking up. Again, that is what I talked about. Like, it is all reset that is happening. They have selling around like 1,000 vehicles per month. Then there is interesting player, very, very powerful price volume action in this company, which is called Greaves Cotton. Like, and what we'll do is like, we'll quickly also check some of these financials and how you can, put some thoughts around analyzing some of these companies. Okay, so let me go here and let's go to screener, and we'll just list out some of these companies. And by the way, if you want to use that template which I've given you, you can just download and then you can just export like this and you can use it. There is a separate video altogether on how to use this Excel screener. Just give me a second. So this is where you can see the interesting part. Okay, so this company in 9 years, it was not doing that great. The growth was missing. The overall profitability was missing. But if you see recent shift that is happening, okay, so they are like getting into EV space, and probably, from a very less profit, I think they are moving into much healthier state. So this is where, these are called typical turnaround stories. Like, if you see last 3-4 years story, you will feel like, what is this company doing and why even this company is existing? Okay, but if you start seeing what is unfolding in future, that is where it gets really interesting. So if you want to see whether it is a turnaround or not, you just use this Excel template and see what is the history looking like. Okay, and if that player is coming into price volume action and they are doing some interesting things, that is where you can get interested. Now, they are having some 60 to 65% market share in two-wheelers and three-wheelers segment. And again, they are doing a lot of promises. So they have good new engines into EV space, which they are trying to manufacture. Then we have Hero MotoCorp, which I think it is just getting started, not picked up yet. Then we have TVS Motors, which is again, old school, but trying to reinvent itself. Ratan India, I think this is also an interesting company, which was not growing that well, I think. And now it is basically having 150 crore worth of strategic partnership with Revolt, which is the leader in electric motorcycles in India. And they have also introduced first AI-enabled electrical motorbike. Okay, so this is like a very, very niche company which is coming up. Okay, so next we will move to the battery and chemical manufacturers. Okay, so you have all these charging stations and you need battery and all those charging points. That is where we'll dive deeper into it. So let's see what are all the players in the battery space. Let me just go to the next slide in the PPT. Awesome. By the way, are you getting so much of value, like crisp, powerful session in like just a small time frame? Okay, so we have not even spent half an hour and we have gone so much deep into different companies. Now, Exide and Amar Raja is like classic battery manufacturer companies. But again, I think in EV space, they have not done that great. They are still, figuring it out. But couple of players who are like into chemical and some of the ancillary material, like you have Gujarat Fluorochemical, which is supplying some of the, battery components and products for electric vehicles. You have Carborundum Universal, which is also producing lithium batteries. And they are also, having some orders with ISRO. And then you have Cabra Extrusion, which is having a battery segment. And I also posted this on my Telegram group, what it is doing. Like, it has become 2x in like 1.5 months since I posted in my Telegram group. Okay, so it's very interesting play what they are doing, and they are moving into a different zone together. And again, if you want to see the kind of financials it was doing earlier, it is also like turnaround. So let me again go to screener. And let's download this Excel also. So let me just share the screen where this Excel is there. And let's have a look at it. So this is the Excel for Cabra Extrusion. And if you see like, no, this is Greaves Cotton. Sorry for that. This is Cabra extrusion. And if you see like the revenue growth and everything, like 4% CAGR for last 9 years. And even the profit growth is like very, very, subliminal, like 6%, 1% for 5 years. Nothing great about this. And even, the interest coverage ratios were not that great initially, and then they picked up. Even ROE, ROC trend was not that great. So if you do ratio analysis, you will see like the return on capital employed and all that were suboptimal for last 5 years. Okay, even the ROE was not that great. But now because of this new Batrix segment, I think it's again very, very promising way they are going. And even in last 3 quarters, they are like quietly picking up. So like if you see sequential quarterly growth and yearly quarter on quarter, it's like awesome 32 and 52% respectively. Okay, so basically what they are suggesting is like it is getting turned around, some new segment, some new emerging sector which is coming up. And this is exactly what I was talking about in terms of emerging companies which are coming and disrupting the existing players and emerging as a new winners. Okay, so this is what is on the battery side of it. What are the proxy play? Now what we'll do is we'll go deeper and we'll go into some more of a beneficiary. Okay, so which are other beneficiary? We'll just check it out in terms of charging infrastructure. Okay, so that is what we will go for. Let's again dive into charging infrastructure. Okay, so let me share the screen again and let's get into it. So if you see the charging infrastructure space, these are some of other players which are there, like Indian Oil Corporation, Tattva Chintan Pharma in terms of chemical, Tata Chemicals also has some chemical thing. And then we have charging infrastructure players, like you have players like Tata Power, which has 961 charging stations already. And they are planning to double at the end of this fiscal. And after 5 years, they are targeting 10,000. So more than like 10x kind of, goals they have incrementally for next 5 years, right? So that is like crazy growth which it can happen if they execute it well. Then you have NTPC again. They are also planning to provide charging stations for the entire range of EVs, and they have also signed MOUs with vehicle aggregators like Ola and Bikesy, Bounce, all these platform companies which are having the solutions in travel. They are partnering. Of course, Power Grid is a biggest beneficiary again, because they are like again the network and monopoly in this space. Then you have BPCL, you have Power India Limited, and you have Visakha Industries. Now Visakha Industries is also doing something interesting. They are doing some solar powered electric vehicle charging stations, and it is very, very interesting space to watch. Okay. So now let's move to the very, very interesting space, which I call more of a niche, where there is lesser competition, less kind of commoditization, and there is again longevity, because there is stickiness in the business. And also it is an asset light model, which I call software systems, which are providing to all these companies in terms of different kind of services in terms of technology and softwares. So this is what is very, very interesting, which I think you should also pay good attention to. So let's move into the auto software companies. So you have companies like LTTS, you have a company like Tata Elxsi, which are doing extremely well in terms of R&D and 5G penetration and even driverless cars and whatnot. Okay, so they are like very, very deep trenched into all these futuristic technology. You have LTTS, who is also doing design and development and system integration of battery management system, power converter, electric vehicle control, and charging infrastructure. And then you have KPIT, which is a leading independent software development and integration partner. They are also leapfrogging in this space very, very quickly. And then you have Polyester manufacturer. So you need some polyester films in different components. So here the beneficiaries are Jindal Polyfilms and Polypex Corporation. Again, these are more of a commoditized play. I'm not very sure of how much of pricing power they will have ultimately, but at least you should have these players in mind, and when you are analyzing, you should see the entire value chain and then try to dissect which player is best in this entire space. Okay, so next is more of a ancillary companies, more like gear companies and different kind of other shock absorbers and all those kind of ancillary players, which we will look at. Let's jump into it and let's see who all are the players into this. Okay, so we have Gabriel India, which is the first one. They provide shock absorbers. Then we have Pix Transmission. This is the leading manufacturer of the belts which you require in the automotive, and they have much superior product compared to their competitors. Then you have Time Technoplast. Then you have Expelio Solutions. You have FIAM Industry, which is a sole supplier to Ola Electric for headlamps and tail lamps and indicators and all those things. Okay. Then you have a few more players which are also doing well. There are players like Motherson Sumi. There is like Minda Industry. Again, very, very strong company historically also. And they have entered into joint venture with Frigo AG. And they are also trying to, give full line of e-drive solutions for electrical 2 and 3 wheelers in the Indian subcontinent. Then we have this new winner which is emerging, which is Sona BLV Precisions. And they are into forging and different precisions items. And they are, having some kind of low cost advantage. So just study this company also, really doing good in terms of overall journey which they are into EV space. Then you have Suprajit Engineering, again very classic strong company. They also acquired Phoenix Lamp, which now dominates the space in the wiring cable and some kind of lamp solution also, along with Phoenix Lamps. Very interesting player, and this has been a good compounder in the past. So again, very interesting company. Okay. So now let's move to some of the commodity or ancillary chemical space. By the way, how many of you are enjoying this session? If you are enjoying this, just hit a thumbs up. And if you have not yet bookmarked this, some of you are asking where to get the Excel template. You can just download from this link. Okay. So yeah, let's move to the chemical space and some of the other commodity space and understand what are the players into this space. So we are like last 5 minutes of this session. Hopefully, a lot of companies we have covered, and there is a lot more homework to do in terms of research analysis. But let's move to the chemical side of it and let's try to understand what all are the companies out there. Okay. So here you have National Aluminium, which is a very powerful, again, company in terms of commodity. Then you have Hindoilco, again, classic old school company. Then you have Hindustan Copper, because copper consumption is going to increase in future. And then you have Grindwell Norton, which is also a leader in abrasive sector, which is also in high demand right now due to EV. And they prevent some kind of process, and I think they have also done a tie-up with certain companies, so they are already suppliers to some of the EV manufacturers. So make sure you go through this entire space, and finally what I'll do is I'll share you what you need to do in terms of getting that gift. So you have to basically keep your notes ready, okay? And once I tell what you need to do, you can just paste the notes into the comment section. Okay. And then you can let me know in the email that you have done it. So what you need to do is this. Let me go to the gift section and let me zoom it a bit. Just give me a second. I'll share the screen. Awesome. So what you need to do is this. Okay. So if you have taken notes and if you have not yet posted, just type your notes and paste it in the comment section and put a hashtag you can compound. Okay, so you can compound hashtag is what you need to put in along with your notes which you have taken from this session. What all things were useful, what did you learn, and what all different companies you learnt about. And then put a subject line YouTube gift. Make sure you exactly adhere to this keywords. And then send it to me on my email connect@vivekmashrani.com, and you will get a surprise cool gift from my end, and hopefully you will enjoy it. Okay, so that is it in today's session. Hopefully you got a lot of value. Was interesting to know the entire value chain and some of the interesting companies. So let me know in the comment section how did you feel about the session, And if you want to know more about any kind of companies in EV space, just type in the comment. I am happy to answer you. And if you have any thoughts in terms of what next you want to cover in my live session or YouTube video session, just let me know that as well in the comment section. Yeah, so thank you so much. And again, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, just do that. And yeah, that's it from my end. Enjoy your remaining day. Thank you so much for being here live. And yeah, we'll keep learning together.